Welcome to Her Subconscious Blueprint, your no BS space for subconscious healing, bold breakthroughs, and manifestations. I'm Jen Boyd, hypnotherapist, mindset coach, and your new healing hype girl. Last week, we started talking about the rules of the mind and the subconscious principles that explain why you do what you do and how you can finally rewire your reality. There are 11 rules total, and we covered the first 6 in part 1. Just to refresh your memory, here's a quick recap. Rule number 1, the mind learns by repetition. Nothing's wrong with you if old habits creep back in. It just means the grooves of the pattern is still stronger. Rule number 2, the mind cannot hold conflicting ideas. You cannot run on self-doubt and confidence at the same time. One belief will always win. You have to choose which one you're going to feed. Rule number 3, whatever we focus on, we move towards. Energy flows where attention goes. Focus on familiar and you'll always find it. Focus on thriving and you'll move in that direction instead. Rule number 4, what is expected tends to be realized. Your brain wants to prove itself right. If you expect struggle, you'll get it. If you expect ease, your subconscious will find ways to deliver that too. Rule number 5, imagination is more powerful than knowledge. The mind doesn't know the difference between what you imagine and what's real. That's why athletes visualize their wins before they ever play the game. And last, rule number 6, in a battle between logic and emotion, emotion always wins. You can know all the facts, but if food, money, or habits carry an emotional meaning, your subconscious will choose the emotion over the logic every single time. Those first 6 rules already explain so much of why you keep looping through the same patterns, but we're not done. Today in part 2, we're going to dive into the last 5 rules of the mind. We'll talk about how your words are spells that shape your reality, why your subconscious will always push you towards pleasure and away from pain, why it doesn't care if something is true or false, and why it clings to familiarity even when it hurts. So in part 1, I helped you see yourself more clearly. Part 2 is going to give you the tools to fully rewire your reality. So let's jump in. Rule number 7 is your mind always does what it thinks you want. Your mind is like a loyal servant, always listening, always taking instructions, but here's the catch. It doesn't know the difference between sarcasm, frustration, or self-criticism. If you say, I can't, it hears that as instructions. If you say, I'm terrible at this, it takes it as a command. It's like a genie in the bottle saying, your wish is my command. So if you're constantly speaking negativity over yourself or negatively about yourself, your subconscious assumes that is what you want and it will deliver it. When I was younger, I used to say things like, I'm always the one who has to hold it together. And guess what happened? My subconscious made damn sure that that was my reality. I became the fixer, the strong one, the one who never asked for help, who kept it all bottled up, who carried the weight for everyone else, not because that was truly who I wanted to be, but because I had told my mind that that's who I was. And my subconscious, just like that loyal servant, simply said, your wish is my command. But the moment I flipped my language, everything started shifting. I started saying things like, I'm safe to receive support. I don't have to do everything alone. I'm allowed to be held, cared for, and supported. And my subconscious went, okay, if that's what she wants, let's make it happen. Suddenly, I began noticing people showing up to help, resources becoming available, and opportunities to put some of the weight down, and more clarity in my goals and my alignment and my actions that I was taking. Here's the solution. Speak to your mind like it's listening, because it is. And it's not just listening, it's obeying. Your subconscious doesn't question whether what you're saying is true. It just takes it in as instructions. That's exactly why in episode 10, I talked about speaking to yourself like you're speaking to a 7-year-old child. Because at the end of the day, that's who your subconscious really is. It's a 7-year-old version of you that is deeply impressionable, deeply emotional, and just wants to feel safe and loved. Think about it. If you were talking to an actual child, would you say, "You're terrible at this. You'll never get it. You're not good enough"? Of course not. You'd never dream of it. You would say, "It's okay. You're learning. You're doing so well. I'm so proud of you. Keep going. You're going to get it." And if you can speak that way to a child, you can definitely speak that way to yourself. And you should, because your subconscious needs the same kind of love and encouragement. So instead of saying, "I can't," start saying, "I can." Instead of "I'm terrible at this," start saying, "I'm learning and getting better every day." Instead of "I'll never," start saying, "I always find a way." Your words are spells. That's why it's called spelling. And every time you open your mouth, you're casting a spell over your life and your reality. When you speak to your mind with kindness, intention, and love, just like you would speak to that 7-year-old version of you, your subconscious receives it as truth. It starts rewiring, building new grooves, and aligning your reality to match the words you're feeding it. And that's the magic of this rule. When you change the way you speak to yourself, you literally change the way your life unfolds. Rule number 8, your mind moves you away from pain and towards pleasure. Every single decision you make comes down to this. Your subconscious will do anything to avoid pain and move you towards pleasure. That's it. Those are the two motivators behind everything you do. And sometimes we don't even realize it's happening because the subconscious is making these calls in the background before you're consciously even aware of them. This is why people struggle to stick with the gym routine. It's not that they don't want to be healthy or strong or lose weight or be full of energy. It's that somewhere along the way, their subconscious coded working out as pain. Maybe in school or sports, you were forced to run laps as a punishment or losing a game. So now your brain associates running with shame. Maybe someone once made a comment about your body in the gym, and now working out feels unsafe. So even though logically you want the benefits, emotionally your subconscious says, "Nope, pain ahead, avoid it, you might die." Or think about overspending. It's not that people don't want financial stability. It's that in the moment, spending feels like pleasure. Clicking add to cart, it lights up the dopamine centers of your brain. It gives you a little hit of excitement, novelty, even comfort. But budgeting and saving, that has been coded as pain. Maybe as a kid, even money conversations ended in stress. So looking at numbers felt heavy. Maybe saving felt boring compared to the thrill of spending. So your subconscious goes, "Let's chase the pleasure and avoid the pain." And it doesn't stop there. We do this with food, with relationships, with careers. Maybe you've stayed in a toxic relationship, not because you don't know it's bad, but because leaving feels like pain. Rejection, loneliness, uncertainty, while staying feels like the comfort of the familiarity, which your brain mistakes for pleasure. Maybe you avoid going after your dreams because taking that risk feels like pain. What if I fail? What if people judge me? While staying small feels like pleasure, because at least you're safe from the unknown. Here's the solution. You have to rewire your subconscious that associates with pain and pleasure. That means flipping the script. If the gym feels like pain, start associating it with the pleasure of strength, the pride of keeping the promise to yourself, the joy of moving your body freely. If overspending feels like pleasure, start connecting budget to the pleasure of safety, freedom, and choice. The thrill of knowing that you can buy what you want without guilt. This is why visualization and reframing are so powerful. You're literally teaching your subconscious, hey, this thing you think is pain is actually pleasure, and this thing you think is pleasure is actually pain. Because when you can convince your subconscious that what you want is pleasurable and what you don't want is pain, it will automatically move you in the right direction without resistance. So ask yourself right now, where am I still coding the thing I want as pain? And how can I start linking it to pleasure instead? Because once your subconscious makes that switch, change stops becoming a battle, starts becoming automatic. Your subconscious will always choose pleasure over pain. So you get to rewire what feels pleasurable. Rule number 9, your mind responds to pictures and words. Your subconscious doesn't speak in logic. It speaks in pictures and words. Again, that's why vision boards, affirmations, and visualizations, they aren't just fluffy Pinterest activities. They're tools that speak the native language of your subconscious. Think about this. If I tell you not to think of a pink elephant, what just popped into your head? A pink elephant. Your mind can't process the don't. It goes straight to the image. That's exactly why when you say, I don't want to fail, your subconscious doesn't hear the don't. It just pictures failure. It's picturing all the times that you've failed. But if you say, I'm succeeding, your subconscious instantly begins building a picture of all the times that you did succeed and what success looks like. And those pictures are powerful because your subconscious doesn't differentiate between imagination and reality. It just knows what you're feeding it. And then it starts to align your emotions, your behaviors, and even your body with those images. Let me give you an example. I used to set vague goals like, I just want to be successful. But here's the thing. Successful, quote unquote, it's not a picture. It's too broad. My subconscious had nothing clear to work with, so it just kept recycling the same patterns I already had. But when I got specific, when I actually defined what success looked like for me, everything shifted. I pictured myself running a successful business from a place of freedom, helping other women break free from money trauma and wounds. Recording this podcast, having time with my kids, feeling peace in my nervous system. These images gave my subconscious something to build towards. And it's not just me. Research in sports psychology has shown that athletes who visualize their performance with vivid details, not just the actions, but the sounds, the sights, even the emotions, actually improve their performance as much as they do with physical practice. Why? Because their subconscious brain doesn't know the difference between the mental pictures and the physical reality. Here's the solution. Get specific and vivid with the pictures and the words you feed your subconscious. Don't just say, I want to be successful. Define it. What does it look like when you wake up in the morning? What's in your bank account? Who's around you? How does it feel in your body? Don't just say, I want love. Picture yourself being held, laughing with someone, feeling safe and adored. Don't just say, I want health. See yourself running with energy, trying on clothes that fit beautifully, moving your body with ease. The clearer the image, the stronger the impact. And the more emotionally charged your words are, the louder they land with your subconscious. So instead of flat, vague affirmations like I'm successful, I want you to try something that makes you feel more alive, like I'm thriving in every way. I wake up energized, my business is flowing, and I feel safe, supported, and abundant. When you combine powerful words with vivid pictures, you're speaking your subconscious exact language, and that's when it starts to respond. Rule number 10, your mind doesn't care if it's true or false. This one is a kicker. Your subconscious doesn't care if what you're telling it is true or false or good or bad or helpful or harmful. It doesn't fact check it. It doesn't argue back. Whatever you repeat to it, it believes, whether it's empowering or destructive. Think about the times you've told yourself, I'm terrible with names, or I'm just not good at math, or I always mess this up. Maybe it wasn't even true at first, but you just had one bad moment or someone else told you that once, and you adopted it as fact. But after repeating it enough times, your subconscious went, okay, this must be who we are. And it locked into it. Suddenly, you're blanking on names. You're panicking when it's time to crunch numbers, or you're sabotaging yourself in situations where you've already decided that you're bound to fail. On the flip side, you've probably experienced this in a positive way too. Maybe you've once repeated something like, I always find a way through this. Even if at times you weren't even sure, your subconscious took it in as fact. And when challenges came up, it reminded you of the belief and guided you to solutions. Here's the key. Your subconscious doesn't wait for outside evidence to confirm a belief. It just takes what you feed it and makes it real. That means you don't have to wait until you feel confident, successful, or abundant to start affirming it. You create the evidence by programming the belief first. Here's the solution. Start feeding your mind empowering thoughts even before they feel true, even if your logical brain rolls its eyes at you at first. Your subconscious is listening, and with enough repetition, it won't just believe it. It will start rearranging your behavior, your reality to match it. So instead of repeating the old scripts that don't serve you, give your subconscious new ones. I am enough. I always figure things out. Life is supporting me. Everything is working out in my favor. Because your subconscious doesn't care if it's true or false. It just cares that you keep saying it. And when you do it, it will work tirelessly to make it your reality. All right, that takes us in to the final rule. Rule number 11, the mind loves familiarity. This is one of the most frustrating, but also one of the most freeing rules of the mind. Your subconscious is wired to love what's familiar, even if it's bad for you. That's why people go back to toxic relationships. That's why they repeat habits they swore they'd break. That's why you can know something is hurting you and still find yourself doing it again and again and again. Because to the subconscious, familiar equals safe. And here's the catch. Safe doesn't always mean good. Safe doesn't always mean healthy. Safe just means known. If your nervous system got wired in childhood to equate chaos with normal, then calm will feel uncomfortable. If love was inconsistent growing up, then healthy, steady love might feel boring or even suspicious. If scarcity was your normal, then abundance will feel threatening at first. For me, independence became my familiar. At the very young age, I moved out at 17, and from then on, my subconscious equated survival with doing it all on my own. It wasn't just about paying bills or keeping myself afloat. It became a core part of my identity. I'm the strong one. I don't need anyone. I can handle it myself. And even later in life, when help was available, when support was right there, my mind pushed it away. Not because I didn't want help, because deep down I craved it, but because unfamiliar felt unsafe. Receiving support felt vulnerable, exposed, risky, failure. My subconscious screamed, stick to what you know, stick to survival. And maybe you have felt that too. Maybe you've walked away from good relationships because it felt too stable and you didn't know how to trust it. Maybe you've sabotaged opportunities because success didn't feel like home yet. Maybe you've clung to the identity of the fixer, the strong one, or the one who suffers. Because even though it hurts, it's what you know. You have to make the unfamiliar familiar. You can't just snap your fingers and feel at home in a new pattern overnight. You build it the same way you built the old patterns, through repetition. If self-love feels weird, keep practicing it until it doesn't. If asking for help feels uncomfortable, start small. If abundance feels foreign, put yourself in environments where wealth is normalized until your subconscious says, oh, this isn't threatening anymore. This is just who I am now. That's why tools like visualization, affirmations, and hypnosis and repetition are so powerful, because they speed up the process of making new beliefs and behaviors feel safe. The more you expose your subconscious to the new normal, the less resistance you feel. Because at the end of the day, your subconscious doesn't care if something is good or bad. It just cares whether it's familiar. And once you decide to make the good stuff like love and abundance and support and ease, once you make that familiar, that is when your life really begins to transform. That's why tools like RTT are so effective. They reprogram your subconscious to make the positive familiar faster. So we covered a lot over the last 2 episodes. So let's do a quick recap of the last 5 rules that we covered today. Rule number 7, your mind always does what it thinks you want. That's why your self-talk matters so much. Speak to yourself like that 7-year-old version of you, because she's listening. Because your subconscious is that 7-year-old you. Rule number 8, your mind moves you away from pain and towards pleasure. If something you want still feels like pain, you'll resist it. The key is to reframe it so your subconscious links it to pleasure instead. Rule number 9, your mind responds to the pictures and the words. That's why visualization, affirmations, and vision boards, if done right, work. You're speaking your subconscious native language. Rule number 10, your mind doesn't care if it's true or false. Whatever you repeat, it believes. So choose to repeat what serves you, even before you see the evidence. And the last rule, rule number 11, your mind loves familiarity. It clings to what it knows, even if it's unhealthy. But with practice and repetition, you can make the unfamiliar, things like love, abundance, support, and ease, your new normal. Together with last week's 6 rules, you now have the full blueprint of how your subconscious really works. And when you understand these rules, you stop blaming yourself for your patterns and you start realizing you were just following programming. The best part? Programming can always be rewritten. So here's the big takeaway. Your mind is not your enemy. It's not trying to sabotage you. It's just following the rules that it knows. And once you know those rules, you can stop playing blind and start playing to win. Remember, you're not a prisoner of your thoughts or your habits. You are the programmer. You get to choose the grooves. You get to carve them. You get to cast the spells. And remember, your subconscious is just like a genie. Your wish is my command. So start feeding it the pictures that feed your subconscious empowerment. I am so full of love and gratitude that I get to share my story with you. This is her subconscious blueprint, where we don't just chase the dreams, we become them. And remember, you don't get what you want, you get who you are. So go out and be that version of her today. Much love and gratitude. I will see you next time.